When you buy a product that doesn't work, you return it. But what happens when that product is a living, breathing toddler you adopted from across the world? In 2020, the internet witnessed the first ever digital return of a human being. Myka Stauffer didn't just fail as a mother. She issued a public apology for a faulty adoption after she had already spent years cashing the checks he earned her. This is the story of how a child became a content strategy and then a liability. The story of Myka and James Stauffer's downfall is a modern internet tragedy, a cautionary tale about the exploitation of a child for profit. It begins not with a happy family, but with a calculated content strategy. In 2020, the couple posted a tearful video announcing they were rehoming their adopted son, Huxley, a toddler from China with special needs. This announcement was the culmination of a years-long journey, where Huxley was the star of their family vlogging channel, used to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars before being discarded when his needs became too great. The video, which has since been deleted, showed them crying on their bed, but the internet saw through the performance, recognizing it as the final, desperate act of parents who had exploited a child for content and were now facing the consequences. The Stauffers had been running family channels since 2016 with modest success. Their decision to adopt from China was framed as content from the very start. They announced their intention before even beginning the formal process.
We are going to be adopting a little boy from China,
turning a private, sacred decision into a public spectacle. Their adoption agency, Holt International, specifically advised them against publicizing the adoption before it was finalized. Susan Soon Kim Cox, a vice president at the agency, later confirmed they asked the Stauffers not to do it. Publicizing can jeopardize the process, plays into harmful stereotypes of white saviorism, and deprives the child of privacy. Myka ignored this advice because growing her YouTube channel was more important. The adoption was not an act of service, it was a content strategy. Every milestone in the adoption process, from the announcement video to the fundraising campaigns to the approval letters, became a talking point that drove engagement, comments, and shares. Viewers became emotionally invested in the journey, checking back regularly for updates. Myka once referred to her husband James as an SEO god in a deleted vlog, praising his ability to optimize their content for maximum visibility. They were hacking the algorithm, and the adoption was the ultimate hack. Even James's car detailing channel, Stauffer Garage, benefited from the increased attention the family was receiving. The couple turned the adoption process into a full-blown marketing campaign. They ran fundraisers, asking viewers to donate $5 per puzzle piece, the prize for completing the 1,000-piece puzzle, revealing Huxley's face to the world.
We have a 1,000-piece puzzle, and every time someone donates, each puzzle piece is worth $5.
They were essentially selling access to this child's image. They also set up a GoFundMe, asking their audience to support the adoption financially. This wasn't just asking for help, it was building a parasocial relationship, making viewers feel they had a personal stake in bringing Huxley home. It worked brilliantly from a business perspective. The Gotcha Day video, documenting them meeting Huxley in China for the first time, eventually racked up over 5 million views. Once home, every aspect of Huxley's life was monetized. Every milestone, every struggle, every therapy session, every public meltdown was documented and uploaded for the world to see. He appeared in at least 27 videos on Myka's channel alone. He was integrated into sponsored content almost immediately. There were Instagram posts featuring Huxley, with product placements, and YouTube videos where she discussed his challenges, while promoting everything from children's clothing to cleaning products. Trade him for anything. She was simultaneously promoting a laundry detergent. Huxley was a moneymaker, and the Stauffers knew it. With over 700,000 subscribers and millions of monthly views, they were likely making anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 a month in ad revenue alone, not including sponsorship deals. However, Huxley had real health challenges. He was a child with autism and significant trauma from his time in an orphanage, including profound food insecurity. Instead of consulting with occupational therapists or behavioral specialists, Myka filmed his distress and used it as content. In one particularly disturbing, now deleted video, she put Huxley in a timeout for wanting food. This behavior was not defiance. It was a survival strategy ingrained from his earliest years when he never knew where his next meal would come from. Viewers were appalled. cold. Another video showed his hand bound with duct tape to stop him from sucking his thumb, a common self-soothing mechanism for autistic children that helps them regulate emotions and manage sensory overload. She later re-uploaded the video, editing out that damning segment. There were other red flags. Huxley was often treated differently than her biological children, being sent to bed earlier and filmed during moments of distress. The Stauffers were clearly overwhelmed, and their parenting style was, at best, questionable and at worst, harmful. The couple began to phase Huxley out of their content. Videos were quietly deleted from their platforms. When viewers started asking questions on James's channel about Huxley's whereabouts, his initial responses were jarringly insensitive. He simply replied, "With a new family." When pressed further, he made sarcastic comments, telling people to keep watching his videos because it helped him make money. This callousness only fueled the public's outrage. Facing mounting pressure, the Stauffers finally released a bombshell video explaining their decision to rehome Huxley. In it, James claimed they didn't know the full extent of Huxley's medical and behavioral needs before bringing him home. This was a provable lie. In a much older, deleted vlog, Myka had explicitly admitted that their doctors discouraged the adoption due to the extent of Huxley's needs, and she arrogantly chose to ignore that professional advice.
This is more our son than he has ever been, and we don't care what's wrong with him.
She deliberately went against medical guidance, adopted him, filmed him for years, and then returned him, cynically citing the very medical advice she had dismissed. They used sanitized language like disrupted placement and rehomed to make their decision sound more humane, but the public saw it for what it was. Myka, who had spent years building her brand on being a devoted, tireless mother who would never give up, had given her son away after using him to build her fame and fortune. The backlash was immediate, immense, and unforgiving. The sheriff's office in their county opened an investigation, though ultimately no charges were filed, as the practice of rehoming exists in a legal gray area and is not explicitly illegal in many states. Without tangible evidence of physical abuse or neglect, prosecutors had no grounds for criminal charges. The court of public opinion, however, had rendered its verdict. Myka Stauffer had exploited a vulnerable child for views and money, then discarded him when he became too difficult to manage. She deleted all her YouTube channels and vanished from the internet. Her final Instagram post was a long, rambling apology, where she claimed she was naive, foolish, and arrogant, and insisted she did not adopt a child for wealth. James, however, continues to run his car detailing channel to this day, seemingly unaffected by the scandal and still profiting from the internet. The story, however, is not just about the Stauffers. Their case became a central focus of an HBO documentary on family vlogging titled An Update on Our Family, sparking renewed conversations about the ethics of exploiting children for content. Looking back, the signs were always there. Myka had always craved internet validation, posting details of her life as a single mother and even sharing before and after bikini shots for weight loss challenges long before she met James. Her biological children, Kova, Juke, and Radley, were commodified from birth. Their milestones, their struggles with homeschooling, their private family moments were all broadcast to hundreds of thousands of strangers. This pathological need for fame and financial gain led to the adoption from hell, a decision that would ultimately ruin her career and, far more importantly, disrupt the life of a vulnerable little boy named Huxley. While Myka now lives a private life in Ohio, occasionally spotted by locals, Huxley's whereabouts and well-being remain a mystery. He was placed with a new family, but the details are sealed, leaving a lasting, haunting question mark in a story about the devastating cost of internet fame.